Hello everyone, it is Jazz here. Today I am doing another book excerpt reading, this time for the month of July, and you guys voted that I read from the book Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Now I have left the summary to the book in the description if you don't know what it's about, but basically it's a parallel novel to The Wizard of Oz, and it's, you know, about the Wicked Witch of the West and her life and times. And in this scene, Elphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda, soon to be Glinda, they are talking in their college dorm, or I guess what they call college in Oz, and they're just finally talking to each other, even though they've been roomies for a while. So it's a fun little scene, and let's jump into it. One Saturday evening, when the Amas had a rare night off and had taken themselves into a pleasure faith meeting in the Ticknor Circus, Glinda had a brief and silly squabble with Fanny and Shin-Shin, after which she retired early to her bedchamber, complaining of a headache. Elphaba was sitting up in her bed with the commissionary brown blanket tucked around her. She was hunched forward over a book, as usual, and her hair hung like brackets on either side of her face. She looked to Glinda like one of those etchings. The natural history books were full of them, of odd winky mountain women who hide their strangeness with a shawl over the head. Elphaba was munching on the pips of an apple, having eaten all of the rest. "Well, you look cozy enough, Miss Elphaba," said Glinda challengingly. In 3 months, it was the first social remark she had managed to make to her roomie. "Looks are only looks," said Elphaba, not looking up. "Will it break your concentration if I sit in front of the fire?" "You cast a shadow if you stand there." "Oh, sorry. Mustn't cast shadows, must we, when urgent words are waiting to be read?" Elphaba was back in her book already and didn't answer. "What the dickens are you reading night and day?" It seemed as if Elphaba were coming up from air from a still isolated pool. "I don't read the same thing every day, you know. Tonight, I am reading some of the speeches of the Unionist fathers." "Why ever would anyone want to do that?" "I don't know. I don't even know if I want to read them. I'm just reading them." "But why, Miss Elphaba the Delirious? Why? Why?" Elphaba looked up at Glinda and smiled. Elphaba the Delirious. I like it. Before she had a chance to bite it back, Glinda returned the smile, and at the same time a sweeping wind sent a handful of hail against the glass, and the latch broke. Glinda leaped to swing the casement shut, but Elphaba scuttled to the far corner of the room, away from the wet. "Give me the leather luggage grip, Miss Elphaba, from my satchel. There, on the shelf, behind the hat boxes. Yes, I'll secure this until the porter can come and fix it tomorrow." Elphaba found the strap, but in doing so, the hat boxes tumbled down, and 3 colorful hats rolled out onto the cold floor. While Glinda scrambled up on a chair to organize the window shut again, Elphaba returned the hats to their boxes. "Oh, try it on. Try that one on," said Glinda. She meant to have something to laugh at, to tell Mrs. Fanny and Shin-Shin about, so to work her way back into their good graces. "Oh, I daren't, Miss Glinda." "Oh, do, I insist. For a lark. I've never seen you in something pretty." "I don't wear pretty things." "What's the harm? Just here. No one else needs see you." Elphaba stood facing the fire, but turned her head on her shoulders to look long and unblinkingly at Glinda, who had not yet hopped down from the chair. The Munchkinlander was in her nightgown, a drab sack without benefit of lace edging or piping. The green face above the wheat gray fabric seemed to almost glow, and the glorious long straight black hair fell right over where her breasts should be, if she were ever to reveal any evidence that she possessed them. "Oh, put the hat on, really," said Glinda, for whom, where introspection was concerned, enough was enough. Elphaba obliged. The thing was a lovely roundel bought from the best milliner in Pertha Hills. On the wrong head it would have looked ghastly, and Glinda expected to have to bite the inside of her lip to keep from laughing. It was the kind of super feminine thing boys in pantomime wore when they pretended to be girls. But Elphaba dropped the whole sugary plate on her strange pointed head and looked at Glinda again from underneath the broad brim. She seemed like a rare flower. Her there. I'm not going to be seen by those ninnies in this. Well then, can you find an angle without hiding the firelight and look at your reflection in the dark window? They both gazed at the green, flowery specter reflected in the watery old glass, surrounded by the blackness, driven through the wild rain beyond. Entrancing. There's a strange quality of beauty about you. I never thought. Surprise, said Elphaba, and then nearly blushed, if darker green constituted as a blush. I mean, surprise, not beauty. It's just surprise. Well, what do you know? It's not beauty. Who am I to argue? Said Galinda, tossing her curls and striking a pose. And Elphaba actually laughed at that, and Galinda laughed back, partly horrified that she did so. Elphaba tore the hat off then and returned it to its box, and then she picked up her book again, and Galinda said, "So what is beauty reading anyway? I mean, really, tell me, why the old sermons? My father's a Unionist minister. I'm just curious what it's all about, that's all. Why don't you just ask him?" Elphaba didn't answer. Her face took on a solid, waiting look, like that of an owl just about to go for a mouse. "So what are they on about? Anything interesting?" said Galinda. No sense in giving up now. There was nothing else to do, and she was too wrought up by the storm to sleep. This one is thinking about good and evil, whether they exist at all. Oh, yawn. Evil exists. I know that. Its name is boredom, and ministers are the guiltiest crew of all. You don't really think that. Galinda didn't often stop to consider whether she believed in what she said or not. The whole point of conversation was flow. "Well, I didn't mean to insult your father. For all I know, he's an entertaining and lively preacher." "No, I mean, do you think evil really exists?" "Well, I don't know what I think." "Well, ask yourself, does evil exist?" "I don't know. You say, does evil exist?" "I don't expect to know." "Why don't you just ask your father?" "I don't understand. He should know. That's his job." "My father taught me a lot. He's very well educated indeed. He taught me to read and write and think and more, but it isn't enough. I think just like our teachers here, that if ministers are really effective, they're very good at asking questions to make you think. I don't think they're supposed to know all the answers. Not necessarily. Oh well, tell that to our boring minister. He has all the answers and charges for them too. But maybe there's something to what you say. I mean, evil and boredom. I mean, evil and ennui. I mean, evil and the lack of stimulation. I mean, evil and sluggish blood. You're writing a poem, it sounds like. Why ever would a girl be interested in evil? I'm not interested in it. It's just what all the early sermons are about. So I'm thinking about what they're thinking about. I just like thinking about what I'm reading, don't you? I don't read very well. I don't think I think very well either. I dress to kill, though. There was no response from Elphaba. Galinda, usually pleased that she knew the correct way to steer every conversation into a paean to herself, was flummoxed. She lamely ventured on, annoyed at having to expend the effort. Well, whatever did those old brutes think about evil then? It's hard to say exactly. They seem to be obsessed with locating it. It's like they were the early explorers of Oz, except the maps that they made were of invisible stuff. And where is evil located? Galinda asked, flopping onto her bed and closing her eyes. Well, they didn't agree, did they? Or else, what would they have to write sermons arguing about? Some said that the original evil was the vacuum created by the fairy queen Lurline, leaving us alone here. When goodness removes itself, the space it occupies erodes and becomes evil. And maybe it splits apart and multiplies. So every evil thing is a sign of the absence of deity. Well, I wouldn't know evil if it fell on me. There wasn't one council of Unionists that decided one way or the other, and now people don't even believe in Lurline. But they believe in evil still. Isn't that funny? That deity is passé, but the attributes and implications of deity still linger. You are thinking, Elphaba cried. Galinda raised herself to her elbows at the enthusiasm in her roomie's voice. I am about to sleep because this is profoundly boring to me, Galinda said, but Elphaba was grinning from ear to ear. That was my excerpt reading of the book Wicked. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have, of course, left the link to this book in the description if you guys want to check it out. It's a fun one, also kind of dark and foreboding and political, but still fun. And that is it for today, my fabulous people. I will see you all soon. Bye! And think and more. That's what it is. Give more. I probably scratched some of my makeup off. Whoops. But the attributes and attributes and why do I want to add an R to this? The Munchkinlander. That's the first time I've really had to say that in a performance art piece. There's a girl I know. He loves her so. I'm not that girl. I never thought. Suddenly she became a very high-pitched a voice and could develop a goal. That's the wrong musical. She's getting excited at me too, and then I get excited and then I can't say this funny.
Is your glasses messed up? Or?
No, it's trying to say the word. It's trying to say Elphaba in front of anything.
Let me see the rolling.
That's because I roll. Okay, that is kind of stupid. Get you to think I made up words because that's not the line. Give me the leather luggage, evil, and the sluggish blood. Oh, that was stupid. When I see depressing creatures with unprepossessing features, I remind them on their own behalf to think of celebrated heads of state or especially great communicators. Did they have brains or knowledge? Don't make me laugh. They were popular.